This is the Buffett Mindset channel where we practice patience and calm wealth building daily. If you enjoy these types of videos, consider liking and subscribing. This will mean a lot to the channel. If you act as if God is within you, something mighty starts to stir. Your voice changes. It carries weight not because you yell louder, but because truth hums through it like wind across canyon walls. Your posture changes. You stop crouching before doubt and rise like a man who knows heaven breath is in his lungs. You stop asking permission to live with fire because you realize that fire was never borrowed. It was placed in you long before you drew your first breath. And when you stop waiting, heaven stops waiting too. The gates swing wide, not with trumpet blasts or thunder, but with quiet certainty. This ain't a lecture, and it sure ain't theory. This is a summons. If these words reach your ears tonight, it's because something in you is restless. Something in you knows you've lingered too long in the shadows of hesitation. The silence you felt, that ache deep in your chest, it ain't confusion. It's a divine order knocking, telling you it's time to stand up and claim the life you were sent to live. You weren't made to shrink. You weren't placed here to drift like tumbleweed, tossed wherever the wind blows. No, you were sent. And the one who sent you ain't sorry about the power stitched into your soul. He don't whisper apologies when he blesses a man with purpose. He don't stutter when he calls a man to rise. That call comes clear and it comes steady. Now listen close. The man who takes these words with reverence, who doesn't just hear them once but studies them, repeats them, lives them till they brand themselves into his bones. That man won't just change. He'll become living proof. He'll walk through this world not as one guessing at his place, but as one sent, clear-eyed and unshaken, finishing what heaven began in him. And I'll tell you something, partner, the moment you believe this truth, you won't walk the same. You won't talk the same. You'll carry yourself not as one begging scraps from life, but as one bringing life wherever he goes. You'll stop trailing behind fear like some broken colt. You'll stand sure-footed because you'll know you're not just a man anymore. You're a man sent. You've spent enough nights bowing to fear. You've wasted enough mornings hesitating in the shadow of doubt. That season is over. The voice of purpose is calling you right now, and it's speaking straight into your chest like thunder rolling across an empty plain. And if you'll obey this voice, not just nod at it, not just enjoy hearing it for comfort, but obey it, your old self will fall away like a shed skin. You'll never again be the man you were before this night. See, most men spend their lives pretending to be less than they are. They hunch their shoulders to fit in. They keep their fire hid, afraid it'll spook the herd. They act like they weren't born with heaven's spark. But you can't afford that no more. You've heard the summons, and once you hear it, you can't unhear it. When you act as if God is within you, you step different. You make decisions different. You treat time like at holy ground because you know every second is borrowed light. You forgive quicker not because you're weak, but because bitterness is beneath a man who's been sent. You speak with restraint, not because you're afraid, but because you know your words weigh more than iron, and you won't spend them cheap. It changes how you chase your work, too. You don't wander from one scheme to the next, praying for luck. You build steady. You sow faithful. You plant trees you may never sit under because you know purpose don't always show fruit today, but it will in its time. And let me tell you a secret Buffett himself knew well. When you live like heaven sent you, discipline ain't a chore, it's a gift. Every no to distraction is a yes to destiny. Every hour guarded, every dollar invested, every temptation resisted is another proof you're living as one who knows his orders. That's what separates a man drifting through the years from a man who makes the years count. Now don't mistake me. Walking this way don't mean storms won't come. They will. Rivers will rise, markets will tumble, men will doubt you, and fear will come knocking like it always does. But a man who acts as if God is within him don't rattle easy. He don't fold at the first thunderclap. He plants his boots firm, looks the storm in the eye, and keeps riding forward. Why? Because he knows storms don't last forever, but purpose does. That's the power of living sent. You ain't carrying yourself anymore. You're carried by the one who sent you. And that realization, once it lands, turns even the smallest daily act, waking early, shaking a hand, speaking a kind word, into sacred work. So tonight, as the rain whispers steady and the fire glows low, take this with you into your dreams. You ain't here by accident. You ain't here forgotten. You were sent. Sent with clarity, sent with fire, sent to finish what heaven began. And tomorrow when you rise, don't walk like an ordinary man. Walk like one with heaven at his back. Now let's talk about how this truth reshapes the way you deal with other folks. A man who acts as if God is within him ain't petty. He don't waste his breath on envy, nor does he cheapen his spirit with gossip. He knows every word is seed, and he plants careful. He lifts. He steadies. He corrects with love but without apology. Why? Because he knows the one who sent him didn't send him to shrink others down. He sent him to call them higher. When you carry heaven in your chest, you stop begging for folks to validate you. You don't need their applause because you're already stamped with purpose. You don't fear their rejection because you weren't sent by them in the first place. That freedom, partner, freedom most men never taste. See, too many live like slaves to approval. They bend themselves out of shape just hoping for a nod. They chain their worth to a paycheck, a like, or a title. And when those vanish, they collapse. But a man who acts as if God is within him, he stands steady. Paycheck or not, title or not, applause or not, he knows where his orders come from. And let me tell you, that makes him dangerous in the best way. Dangerous to fear, dangerous to despair, dangerous to every lie that tells a man he's small. Because he ain't small no more. He carrying a presence bigger than himself, and that changes how he steps into every room, every deal, every challenge. Now when it comes to wealth, the same rule holds. A man without purpose chases money like a moth chases flame, burns himself out before he ever finds rest. But a man sent by heaven don't chase money, he stewards it. He knows money a servant, not a master. He don't bow before it, and he don't squander it. He multiplies it with wisdom, then sets it to work in ways that build, not just consume. Think about it. Warren Buffett didn't grow his fortune by chasing every shiny stock. He lived sent with discipline, sent with patience. He let compounding work like seasons work, a field quiet, steady, relentless. That a man who understood he wasn't scrambling for scraps. He was building something meant to outlive him. And that only happens when you know heaven whisper is behind your hand. And hear the kicker. When you act as if God is within you, you stop seeing legacy as optional. You realize every choice carved stone, every investment, every sacrifice, every habit. These are bricks setting the foundation for folks you may never meet. And you take that seriously. You don't gamble with it. You don't waste it on trivial comforts. You build with it. Legacy ain't about your name carved in granite. It's about lives lifted, doors opened, chains broken. And when heaven within you, you start noticing those moments. You see the young man watching how you carry yourself. You see the family dependent on your steadiness. You see the neighbor who needs a hand. And you act, not for applause, but because it's your assignment. Now let's turn inward for a moment. Acting as if God is within you ain't just about posture and action, it's about identity. Too many men live with borrowed names. They call themselves failures, unlucky, unwanted. They drag them labels like chains. But hear the truth. When God breathed into you, he didn't stamp you with failure. He stamped you with purpose. And believing that changes how you see yourself. You quit settling for scraps. You quit making excuses. You quit wasting nights saying someday. Instead, you start speaking like a man who already holding the keys. You say, today I build, today I sow, today I live as one sent. And those words, repeated day after day, burn away the lies until all that left is truth. You see, the subconscious don't sleep. It takes orders night and day. And when you keep giving it orders rooted in heaven truth, it reshapes your life like a craftsman works wood. Slowly, carefully, but powerfully. That's why speaking matters. That's why meditating on truth matters. Because whether you know it or not, you're always given orders. If you say, I'm tired, I'm broke, I'm not enough, your mind sets out to prove it. But if you say, I am sent, I am capable, I am carrying heaven fire, your mind will work night and day to make it real. And let me tell you, speak it long enough, believe it deep enough, and folks around you will notice. They'll see a steadiness in you they can't explain. They'll see peace where there should have been fear, courage where there should have been retreat. And some will envy it, but others will draw near because they're starving for the same truth. And that's how one man living sent becomes a light for 100. Not by preaching, not by shouting, but by walking steady, living honest, refusing to bow. His very presence becomes proof. And in a world full of noise, proof speaks louder than words. So tonight, as this fire dies low, let me ask you straight. Are you living like one forgotten or like one sent? Are you shrinking back, waiting for permission, or are you standing tall with heaven fire in your chest? The answer don't lie in tomorrow. It lies in tonight, right now. What you choose to believe, what you choose to speak, what you choose to act on, that what'll shape the man you'll be when the sun comes up. And if you're willing, if you'll let go of fear and grab hold of this truth, you won't just change. You'll become unrecognizable to the man you were. You'll live not as a wanderer, but as one sent. Now, if you're still listening, it means something inside you ain't content with drifting. You're hungry for more. Not just more dollars, not just more comfort, but more truth. You want to know how a man walks steady in a world that shakes. So I'll tell you plain, it ain't about fancy strategies or waiting for luck to land on your porch. It's about what you do day after day when the world ain't watching. When a man acts as if God is within him, his mornings change. He don't stumble out of bed half asleep reaching for a phone. He rises deliberate, like a soldier on assignment. First breath of the day, he reminds himself, I was sent. I'm carrying power. My steps today matter. That simple truth, whispered with conviction, reshapes the hours that follow. You see, purpose is like a compass. Without it, you wander in circles, chasing your own tail. But when you rise with heaven fire in your chest, your compass don't waver. You know which direction to walk. You ain't paralyzed by every fork in the trail. You move forward, steady and sure, even when the horizon looks cloudy. And hear the strange thing, when you walk like that, opportunities have a way of finding you. Doors swing open that used to stay shut. Not cause you're chasing them frantic, because you're carrying yourself like a man worth following. The world can smell conviction the way a horse can smell rain, and conviction draws. Now let's talk discipline, cause a man sent by heaven don't waste his days in laziness. He knows every hour is seed. You plant it right, and it'll feed you for years. Waste it, and hunger follows. That's why Buffett always said, habits are the chains too light to be felt until they're too heavy to be broken. He knew a man don't rise to the level of his intentions. He sinks or climbs to the level of his daily habits. So hear the practice every morning. Speak truth over yourself. Not weak words, not borrowed lines, but truth that sets your soul firm. Say, I walk with heaven fire. Say, I build, I don't crumble. Say, I am the man who was sent to finish what I start. Speak it even when your bones feel heavy. Speak it when the bills are stacked. Speak it when doubt gnaws at your ribs, cause that's when it counts most. But don't stop there. After speaking, you move. A man who believes God within him don't sit idle waiting for lightning. He takes steps, steady and faithful. He studies when others sleep. He invests when others gamble. He builds when others chase thrills. That's how compounding works. Not just in money, but in life. Every steady step multiplies. And years later, the man who once felt small looks back and realizes he built something unshakable. And at night, when the world quiets and the rain taps soft against the roof, that's when you close your day with reverence. You don't fall asleep scrolling or drowning in noise. You close your eyes deliberate, reminding yourself again, my mind don't sleep, my spirit don't drift. Even in rest, heaven works through me. And you lay down not like a man escaping the day, but like a man preparing for tomorrow's mission. Now some folks will hear this and scoff. They'll say it sounds too simple. They'll say purpose is just a dream, that men are meant to grind until they're dust. Let them scoff. Their laughter don't change the truth. A man convinced of his purpose outlives the cynics. He don't burn out because he ain't running on fumes. He fueled by something deeper. And let me tell you something hard. If you don't choose this way, the world will choose for you. It'll chain you to a desk, to a routine, to fears that ain't yours. You'll spend your best years bowing to other men's orders, wondering where your fire went. And by the time you realize it, your strength will be spent, your eyes dim, your regrets heavy. That's the cost of ignoring the truth you were sent. But if you choose to live sent, our friend, everything shifts. Work ain't just labor, it's service. Challenges ain't curses, they're chisels shaping you. Even hardship becomes holy, cause you know heaven don't waste pain. Every scar turns into a marker, proof that you endured, proof that you ain't walking this trail alone. And folks will see it. They'll wonder how you keep standing when storms rage. They'll wonder why you ain't bitter when the world unfair. And you'll know it ain't you alone. It's the one who sent you walking within you, guiding every step. So tonight, before you drift into sleep, settle this once and for all. You ain't forgotten. You ain't weak. You ain't here by accident. You were sent. And the one who sent you don't make mistakes. Now let's make this plain, partner. Big talk don't change a life, discipline does. And if you're hearing this, it means you're ready to not just believe you were sent, but live like it. So I'll hand you a challenge, carved straight from truth and old wisdom. 30 days to act as if God is within you. Day 1 begins the second you wake. Don't roll over, don't beg for 5 more minutes. Sit up, put your feet on the ground, and whisper it firm, I was sent. Let those words strike like a bell ringing across the valley. Not mumbled, not half-hearted, spoken like law. If you ain't got 10 seconds for that, you ain't got time for greatness. Now after you rise, give the first minutes to silence. No chatter, no noise, no scrolling. Just stillness. Listen. Feel the weight of your breath. Feel the beat of your heart. That rhythm is proof God is within you, moving life through your veins. Ain't no accident. You ain't driftwood. You're carried, guided, strengthened. Next comes posture. You walk different when you know heaven backs you. Shoulders square, chin lifted, eyes steady. Don't shuffle like a man half broken. Step like a man who carries a torch. Even in small tasks, even on quiet mornings, carry yourself like a messenger, cause that's what you are. Now let's talk about work. Too many folks waste hours chasing dust. They confuse busyness with progress. Not you. Each day pick 3 tasks that matter. Just 3. The rest is noise. Finish those 3 with focus, and you'll outpace men who scatter themselves across 50. Remember, sent men don't scatter, they strike. And here where Buffett wisdom folds in. He said the chains of habit are too light to be felt until they're too heavy to be broken. So each day, you lay down chains, either chains of strength or chains of weakness. 30 days ain't much, but it enough to forge a new pattern. If every sunrise you claim, I was sent, and every sundown you reflect, did I walk sent, you'll notice the shift. Not in theory, in reality. At noon each day, pause. Don't matter if you're in an office, a field, or riding down the highway. Take a breath. Whisper again, heaven works through me. Reset your compass. Folks around you might laugh, might think it foolish, but they ain't the ones you're living for. You answer to a higher order, and as night falls, don't drift into sleep like a man escaping. Lay your head down deliberate. Say it one last time, I was sent. Close your eyes knowing your subconscious don't rest, it keeps working. And what you plant in it right before sleep grows stronger than anything you mutter in daylight. That's why these night words matter. They carve your soul shape while the world sleeps. Do this 30 days straight, and I promise you this, you'll rise unrecognizable to the man you are today. Your voice will carry new weight. Your choices will hold new clarity. Even your enemies will sense something different. They won't be able to explain it, but they'll see it. The fire in your eyes, the stillness in your presence, the certainty in your step. And hear what few men understand: once you taste living this way, you won't go back. Drift will feel like poison. Fear will feel like betrayal. Excuses will sound hollow. You'll be ruined for ordinary, and that's the best kind of ruin there is. So don't waste another day. Don't wait for a sign painted in the sky. You've already got it. The very fact you're hearing these words means you're ready. Ready to rise. Ready to shed the chains of hesitation. Ready to stop bowing to fear. Remember, God don't send men to shrink. He don't send men to apologize for their power. He sends them to stand, to shine, to build, to finish. And if you live that way, 30 days from now, you'll see a man in the mirror who looks like he was forged by heaven itself. Now I reckon it time we talk about storms, 'cause the man who thinks walking sent means smooth skies, well, he ain't been alive long enough. Purpose don't protect you from hardship, it equips you to endure it. Every man that ever rose worth remembering walked through fire, and most were burned before they ever blazed. See, storms ain't proof you're forsaken, they're proof you're being forged. If God is within you, then every hardship is not an accident. It's a hammer striking iron shaping you for the weight of destiny. Buffett once said, only when the tide goes out do you discover who's been swimming naked. And that's the truth of storms. When the flood waters rise, pretense drowns. What left standing is the man who built deep, not shallow. You felt that silence before. The kind where prayers feel unanswered, where doors don't open, where every step feels like dragging chains. That silence ain't abandonment, it's instruction. It's heaven training you to walk on faith, not applause. To act sent even when no man watching, no crowd clapping, no reward immediate. And hear me clear, doubt will ride with you. Doubt don't disappear, it disguises itself. Sometimes it comes as fear of failure. Sometimes as fear of success. Sometimes as that little whisper saying, maybe you ain't chosen after all. But a sent man don't argue with whispers. He answers with action. Doubt screams loudest when you're closest to a breakthrough. That the enemy tell, now suffering that the hardest road. And it where most men fold. But lean in close, 'cause I'll tell you the secret few grasp. Suffering is not punishment, it's permission. Permission to access depths ordinary men never touch. When you suffer, you get to see whether your faith was decoration or foundation, whether you believed only when the table was full, or whether you still believe when you're starving. Buffett would call it temperament. He'd say markets rise and markets fall, but it's the man who keeps his head when others lose theirs who wins in the long haul. Same law applies here. Anyone can act divine when the sun's shining, but when the storm howls, when the night stretches long, will you still walk sent? That's where destiny separates men from boys. Let me give you this picture. Imagine a cowboy riding across the plain, storm breaking overhead. Rain soaks him through, thunder shakes his bones, lightning splits the sky. Now he could turn back, could hide under some shallow ridge, wait it out shivering. But a man who knows he was sent don't waste storms hiding. He presses on, 'cause he knows storms don't last, but sent men do. When the sun finally cracks through, he not weaker, he tempered, he proved. Same with you. Every hardship you face, poverty, loss, betrayal, failure, it ain't the end of your story. It's a chapter where your conviction is carved. The world might see a man stumbling, but heaven sees a man sharpening. If God is within you, then every cut, every wound, every scar, it all belongs to your assignment. So next time doubt whispers, next time suffering bites, next time storms howl, stand tall. Don't bow to fear, don't curse the silence. Instead, say this with iron in your voice. Even here, I was sent. That one sentence flips the whole battlefield, 'cause now you ain't a victim begging for rescue, you're a vessel bearing power. You ain't abandoned, you're on assignment. And I'll tell you plain, men who master this truth walk different for the rest of their days. They don't crumble easy, they don't sell their soul for comfort. They don't envy weaker men who seem happy, 'cause they know happiness without purpose is just a shadow. They trade shallow peace for eternal power. Storms will test you, yes, but storms ain't the enemy, they're the arena. And doubt ain't the final word. It's just the backdrop against which faith proves itself real. And suffering? That's the sacred fire, the forge where heaven stamps its mark upon you. So quit cursing your hardships. Wear them like proof. Every scar on your body, every wound in your soul, every tear you've buried, they ain't evidence of weakness. They're signatures of heaven's hand, engraving you for something greater. Remember this. Sent men ain't measured by how easy their road was. They're measured by how faithful they walked it, storms and all. So when the next trial comes, and it will, don't shrink, don't bargain, don't panic. Just square your shoulders, steady your breath, and remind yourself out loud, I was sent. And if I was sent, then even this storm bends toward my purpose. Now let's talk wealth, not just the kind you can count, but the kind that counts even when the dust settles on your grave. Too many men spend their days chasing numbers, thinking money itself is the prize, but money only the shadow of value. Buffett said it plain, price is what you pay, value is what you get. And if you act as if God is within you, you'll stop running after shadows, you'll start building substance. Wealth begins inside. A poor man with a wealthy spirit will build, piece by piece, until his barns overflow. But a rich man with a poor spirit will squander it all, leaving nothing but dust. You've seen it, men who win quick but lose quicker, men who inherit fortunes only to die broken soul and wallet. That's the fate of those who forget. You were not sent here to consume, but to create. When you walk as if heaven sent you, every choice becomes an investment. Every word you speak is seed. Every act of discipline is compound interest. You might not see the return tomorrow, but let 30 days, 30 years pass, and you'll marvel at the oak that grew from a single acorn you planted in faith. Buffett built his empire by waiting, by holding steady, by refusing to sell cheap what would only rise in time. You can do the same with your character, your purpose, your destiny. Ask yourself, what harvest will your children gather from the seeds you sow tonight? Will they inherit strength or excuses? Will they inherit discipline or debt? Will they carry on a name that stands for something or one that disappears with the wind? Legacy ain't an accident. It's carved, one decision at a time, by a man who knows he was sent. See, when you act as if God is within you, you stop living small. You stop hoarding crumbs and start building tables. You stop envying another man plot of land and start tilling your own. And soon enough, folks stop remembering you as the man who wanted and start remembering you as the man who gave, the man who stood, the man who carried power without boasting. Let me tell you, the richest men I've known weren't always the ones with fat bank accounts. Some were, sure, but the ones who left me shaking my head in reverence, they were the ones who walked light but cast heavy shadows. Men whose presence steadied a room, men who left wisdom that outlived them by centuries. That's what sent looks like, and that's what heaven means when it says you were placed here for purpose. Now don't mistake me, there's nothing wrong with money. In fact, money in the hands of a sent man becomes a weapon for good, a tool to expand the kingdom he carries. Buffett built fortunes because he mastered the law of patience and discipline. You ought to master the same. But don't let your eyes confuse the fruit for the root. If the spirit poor, no wealth can fill the hole. If the spirit rich, every dollar simply multiplies what already burning inside. So ask yourself tonight, what is your portfolio of the soul? Are you investing daily in silence, in prayer, in gratitude, in courage, in the refusal to bow to fear? Or are you spending your days on gossip, envy, anger, distraction? Every deposit counts. Every withdrawal shows. You don't need heaven to audit you. You can see it yourself in the fruit your life bears. Legacy, friend, is a long game. Buffett said his favorite holding period for stocks was forever. The same applies to the kind of man you're becoming. Don't build a character that lasts till Friday. Build one that lasts till eternity. Don't chase applause that fades in a week. Chase impact that echoes through generations. Imagine this. One day, long after your boots are set in the soil, a child will hear your name. Will their heart rise with pride, saying, "That man walked as if God was within him"? Or will they shrug, forgetting you like so many who lived without conviction? That's the only scoreboard that matters. And let me speak plain. This ain't about fame. Heaven don't care if the world writes your name in stone or forgets it by dawn. What matters is that the assignments you were given are complete, that you acted as if God himself breathed through your lungs, spoke through your lips, moved through your hands, that you carried your weight and left none of it undone. So don't waste another sunrise. Don't waste another dollar. Don't waste another breath pretending you ain't sent. From this night forward, treat your time as sacred capital. Treat your words as seeds. Treat your actions as investments. And remember, if God is within you, then failure ain't final, storms ain't permanent, and death itself ain't the end. That legacy, that wealth, that the eternal return on living like heaven sent you. There are truth men dodge all their lives, but it always catches up like a rider on a faster horse. Your days are numbered. You don't get to pick the count. You don't get to bargain for more, but you do get to decide what you pour into them. Most men waste their years like gamblers wasting coins in a busted slot machine, hoping for luck, praying for fortune, but refusing to change their game. And when the final bell tolls, they look back and realize all they ever built was dust. But you don't have to join that crowd. If you act as if God is within you, every sunrise becomes sacred. Every hour is a chance to etch your name into eternity record. Heaven didn't send you here to pass time. Heaven sent you here to finish an assignment. Some men never even figure out what theirs is. They stumble, they drift, they busy themselves till the grave. But a man who listens, really listens, he hears that inner voice pointing him to his work. The work won't look the same for every soul. For one, it raising children with unshakable backbone. For another, it building businesses that uplift whole towns. For another still, it's speaking words that cut through darkness and give light to the weary. Don't you dare measure your assignment against another man. Buffett's work was to master capital, to grow it with patience and wisdom, to prove that steady hands beat frantic grasping. Yours may be different, but it will be no less divine if you walk in it with fire. Now here where men stumble, they think being sent means the path will be smooth. That ain't how heaven works. The road will rise against you, storms will howl, losses will sting. But when God is within you, you don't crumble like a reed in the wind. You bend, but you don't break. You adjust, but you don't abandon. You learn, you rise, you press on. The fire in your chest becomes hotter than the fire against your back. And here a secret only the wise ever grasp. Proof of heaven within a man is not that he avoids struggle, it's that he overcomes it. Anyone can sing when skies are clear, but it takes a sent man to sing when rain pounding the roof, when creditors are knocking, when the harvest fails, when friends vanish. That when heaven watches close, that when angels lean in, and that when you prove what spirit you really carry. Buffett once said, you don't find out who's been swimming naked until the tide goes out. Same true of the soul. When fortune fades, when comfort dries up, what remains? If God within, you'll still stand clothed in power. If he not, you'll be exposed, scrambling for excuses, begging for shelter. Don't wait for the tide to test you. Build your covering now. Walk clothed in fire every day so when the tide falls, you're ready. And let's speak of proof. Talk is cheap. Plenty of men talk about faith, talk about purpose, talk about destiny, but the world tired of talkers. What heaven asking is this: can your life serve as evidence? When a stranger meets you, do they sense something holy moving in your steps? When your children watch you, do they see courage where others see fear? When your name is whispered long after you're gone, will it carry weight or will it blow away like ash? Proof ain't built in grand gestures. It's built in the small daily choices. The way you rise in the morning, grateful or bitter. The way you treat the lowest man at your table, dignity or disdain. The way you handle setbacks, steadfast or broken. Heaven keeps record, and those records will outlive the monuments men build for themselves. So how do you embody God within daily? It starts simple, but it ain't easy. Speak words of strength, not complaint. Fill your mind with wisdom, not garbage. Hold your tongue when anger begs for release. Save when impulse tells you to spend. Plant when laziness whispers rest. Stand tall when fear whispers crouch. These are the investments that compound till your soul becomes wealthy beyond counting. And don't forget this, heaven sent you with power, but also with responsibility. You're not here just to rise, you're here to raise. Every man who carries divine fire is a torchbearer, and a torchbearer duty ain't to admire his own flame, but to pass it along, to light the path for others. Your proof will not just be the life you live, but the lives you ignite. Someday someone will look back and say, he was the one who showed me how to walk as if God was within. That's the kind of testimony that outlives riches, outlives titles, outlives fame. That's what it means to leave proof. That's what it means to finish your assignment. So tonight, Under these clouds, with rain on the roof and fire in the pit, let this truth brand itself into your bones. You are not ordinary. You are not forgotten. You were sent. And if you act as if God is within you, your very breath becomes a weapon, your very life becomes proof, and your very death becomes a handoff, passing the torch to the next soul called to carry heaven fire. Now hear me clear. This ain't just poetry. This is a contract. A man who acts as if God is within him is signing his name to a lifelong covenant. You don't get to play halfway. You don't get to dip your toe in purpose and then run back to the shallows when the waves rise. Either you ride or you don't. Either you stand or you fall. And if you choose to stand, you best know this: heaven won't leave you hanging. I've watched men put their faith in money, in titles, in cleverness, in crowds cheering their name, and I've watched all of it vanish like smoke. But I've also seen men who built themselves on fire that couldn't be snuffed out. They walked steady while others panicked. They held the line when others surrendered. They died with less fear in their chest than most men live with. That kind of steadiness don't come from flesh and blood alone. It comes from acting as if God himself pitched his tent inside your rib cage. Now let's call it plain. The world will test you. You'll be mocked. You'll be doubted. You'll be told you're foolish for walking with faith, for speaking with authority, for refusing to shrink. But remember, every prophet, every builder, every leader worth their salt was called crazy before they were called wise. Let the scoffers laugh. Let them sneer. They don't know what it feels like to carry heaven in their chest. But you do, or you will, if you obey what you've heard tonight. You'll wake tomorrow different, not because the world around you changed overnight, but because you did. Your handshake will be firmer, your voice steadier, your eyes clearer. Folks won't know what shifted, but they'll sense it. That the mark of heaven within, it shows itself even when you don't speak it. You won't need to shout, "I've got purpose, Alma." Your steps will declare it for you, and when the storms come, oh, they will. When the losses cut deep, when the friends scatter, when the numbers don't add up, that when you'll see the power of this truth. You won't fold like paper. You won't shiver like a leaf. You'll square your shoulders and say, "I was sent." And the one who sent me don't send men to fail. That sentence alone can part seas. That sentence alone can break fear in half. That sentence alone can carry you where no map can guide. Buffett spent his life preaching patience, discipline, calm in the face of frenzy. He knew fortunes were built not in panic but in poise. You, if you carry God within, will have the same kind of calm but deeper. Not just a financial calm but a spiritual one. A quiet certainty that the author of life wrote your story with triumph already inked in the final chapter. That calm is what makes men unstoppable. That calm is what lets you fall asleep tonight not with anxiety, but with strength humming beneath your ribs. And listen, sleep ain't small. Sleep is holy. Sleep is when the body rests but the mind keeps marching. What you plant before you drift off grows roots in the dark. Most men fall asleep filling their minds with fear, worry, cheap noise, and then they wonder why their days bloom rotten. Not you. Tonight you'll fall asleep on truth. Tonight you'll give your subconscious orders to rise, to build, to walk with fire. You'll tell it, God is within me, I will not shrink. God is within me, I will not waste. God is within me, I was sent to finish. Repeat it, burn it in, let it echo till even your dreams start obeying. One day you'll look back on this night and call it the hinge of your life, the point where the old you ended and the scent you began. Not because the words were pretty, not because the voice was dramatic, but because you listened and then you obeyed. That all heaven ever asks. Not perfection, not brilliance, obedience, faith, action. So let the rain fall, let the fire crackle, let the night be witness. You are no longer a wanderer, you are a man sent. Act as if God is within you and watch as the world bends, not because you begged it to, but because it had no choice. A sent man changes the air when he walks in the room. A sent man alters history without announcing himself. A sent man sleeps different, wakes different, speaks different, dies different. And when your time comes and they lower you in the ground, may the dirt fall not on a forgotten man, but on one who left proof. Proof that he walked with heaven. Proof that he carried God fire. Proof that he was sent and he finished. That the only wealth worth carrying into eternity. So now, close your eyes, breathe deep. Hear the rain as heaven applause. Hear the fire as heaven whisper. You are not waiting for permission anymore. You are not hoping for validation anymore. You are living as one who is sent. Act as if God is within you and watch your life rise like a flame that no wind can put out. Before you drift off tonight, let's set your mind straight. The world may be loud, but your subconscious is louder. It don't rest when you do. It takes orders, plants them deep, and makes them bloom when daylight comes. So don't let it feed on fear or scraps. Give it the finest orders heaven allows. Say it now with me, even if only in thought. God is within me, I will not bow. God is within me, I walk with fire. God is within me. My destiny is secure. God is within me. Fear is not my master. God is within me. I was sent to finish. Each word is a seed. Plant it firm. Don't scatter it like dust. Press it into the soil of your soul. Water it with repetition. Guard it with patience. The farmer don't reap in the same hour he sows, but he knows a harvest is certain if the seed is sound. And this seed, friend, is eternal. Now picture yourself 30 days from tonight. You've carried this fire every morning, spoken these truths before the sun rises, laid them down before sleep every night. What will you see? You'll see a man who don't hunch his shoulders like he begging the world for scraps. You'll see a man who shakes hands steady, whose voice carries weight without shouting, whose eyes look straight without flinching. That the man who acts as if God is within him. And don't you worry if others don't see it right away. Some will doubt, some will scoff, some will say nothing changed, but you'll know better, because change don't always shout, it whispers. Like a river carving rock, slow, steady, inevitable. 30 days of living as if God is within you will turn into 90. 90 will turn into years. Years will turn into a legacy that can't be erased. Hear what you must remember. No one can live this for you. Not your kin, not your boss, not your preacher, not your friends. This is your contract with heaven. You wake up and you choose to act like a man sent, or you go back to pretending you're less than what you are. There ain't no middle ground. Neutrality is a myth. Either you rise or you sink. And tonight you've chosen to rise. So let the night do its work. While you rest, your spirit will not. It will hammer these truths into place. It will weld purpose onto your bones. It will sow courage into the seams of your thoughts. And come dawn, you won't rise empty. You'll rise fuller, steadier, hungrier. I've walked long roads under the stars, rain on my shoulders, campfires at my side. Nights like these, when the air is thick with silence, I've felt closest to the truth. A man is more than flesh. He a vessel. And if he fills himself with fear, he'll spread fear everywhere he goes. But if he fills himself with God, then every step is light, every breath is strength, every word is law. That's who you're becoming. So as the fire dies low and the rain sings on, close your eyes and let this final truth settle. I am not forgotten, I was sent. God is within me, and I walk as proof. Sleep deep, not as a man running from failure, but as a man marching toward destiny. Sleep as if heaven is guarding your rest. Sleep as if your tomorrow is already secure. Sleep as if God himself is within you, because he is.